Okay, chapter 7, gastric motility. We already talked about the muscles of the stomach, so the external longitudinal, the oblique that's just in the proximal stomach, and then the middle is circular. So I'm going to draw a stomach, and we're going to name parts of it.
Woo! Yay.
Yay. Okay, so there's our esophagus. Okay, so we have this area, and like that. So what is this up here?
Cardia.
Yay.
Oh, you were ready.
That was good.
I like the stomach and the heart for whatever reason.
Okay, what is this?
Fundus. It's like the body or something.
Corpus.
Yeah.
Corpus like
Same
corpse,
thing.
like
Body.
body.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Pyloric
then
region. It's a sphincter, I hope.
yeah. Lines of sphincters. And this is like the pyloric antrum.
Yeah.
Yes. And then this is the pyloric canal. I'll bring Ethan sometime to one of these.
Good.
Okay. Where are we gonna start?
I'm sad that we started recording. I had something I wanted to tell Cody.
Just write it down.
Can't put it on the whiteboard. Alright, so then we have two regions of the stomach. What are our regions?
Proximal and distal.
And what makes up the proximal stomach?
Cardia to the first something of the corpus.
It's to the mid-orad corpus. So what does orad mean?
That means towards your esophagus.
So it's like proximal.
Away from your butt.
Yeah!
Yes.
So my little dotted line here is what I consider the mid-orad corpus. Your mileage may vary.
Okay.
And what is the function of the proximal stomach?
Storage.
And so we're going to call that a reservoir. So I like that.
Mechanical. You're
What?
talking about the distal. Mechanical.
I'm not talking about it yet.
Oh, okay.
He's
Slow
ready.
down.
He's ready.
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll. Okay, does the proximal stomach have tonic or phasic contractions? You got this the other day. You said it. You were like strong on it too.
Tonic.
Yes! Okay, now, Cody's favorite part of the stomach. Distal.
Distal. It's
Which-
mechanical.
Yes?
It's from the mid-orad corpus down to the old pyloric sphincter.
There you go. And what does it do?
Mechanical grinding.
There you
You know,
go. What kind of contractions does it
it
have?
has phase.
Good.
TP. That's how I remember that because you need it for your butt as you're going down. TP.
TP.
Toilet paper.
We're
Tonic contraction, phasic contraction. It's how.
Oh.
Like it's
Oh.
the order that it goes
I
in.
was
Yeah.
like, where did you get the T
I don't know where that
It's
came
okay.
from.
I'm sorry. It works for
I mean,
me.
if it works, it works.
Can you see this?
Where are your glasses at?
Mo corpus in my backpack with my
Mo-
wallet
mid-
in my house.
Mid-orad corpus.
Mid-orad corpus. I left my whole backpack.
Okay, and I was a fool and didn't leave enough room. But the proximal stomach does two types of contractions that are very special. What are they called? We've already talked about one of them. It has to do with the esophagus.
Phasic. Peristalsis.
No. Does the proximal stomach do peristalsis?
Wait, the
It's
It's not necessarily contraction, but
it relaxes when the food comes in
and the word
to
before
accommodate.
relaxation is
Accommodative. I don't know.
it's RR, receptive relaxation.
Yes.
Oh,
There
dude, we
you
did
go.
our
Who asked
classes.
that question? Receptive relaxation.
Yes. So what is that? Tell me again.
Receptive relaxation is when there's a bolus of food there,
Uh-huh.
because it's receiving it,
Uh-huh.
it relaxes so that it can go in and squeeze just barely through so no acid can come up
Yes.
and then it contracts.
Yes. And it's going to lower the pressure just a little bit in the proximal stomach to help the food come down in and to make sure that even as this is relaxing, your lower esophageal sphincter is relaxing, that the pressure in the stomach is still less than whatever the sphincter is. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay. What's the matter?
He's not a man. You can tell him that.
My response was, I have to tell my friend Cody.
Okay. What is the other type of relaxation that the proximal stomach does? This is like, I'm so full.
Not stretch.
It's kind of stretching. It's when you've eaten a lot. It's going to be called adaptive relaxation. And what's important to understand here is that your proximal stomach is a reservoir. So we're getting as much food into it as we possibly can, but we have to maintain whatever pressure is in our stomach. One, because of our upper esophageal sphincter, and two, because we need pressure in the distal stomach to be able to get stuff through. So we need to increase our volume without changing our pressure. And that's what adaptive relaxation does.
I knew it was something like accommodating.
And if you really liked physics, we can talk about why that works. But I don't really want to.
So adaptive relaxation is just
So you're going to maintain pressure with increasing volume.
okay. So that's like letting your stomach get full.
Yes. And then once it gets full, that's when you feel full. So that causes satiety. Hey, stop writing notes. I'm going to make you read them out loud.
I was told to write it. I was told to write it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to send you to the principal's office.
It's first grade all over again.
Okay, so do we understand what adaptive relaxation and receptive relaxation are?
And
Yes.
receptive relaxation lowers the pressure of the
Oh, God.
of the I don't know where this needs to be at.
You're close. Lean it back. I think it's fine. Yeah.
It lowers the pressure of the lower esophageal sphincter to let food go through.
Mm-hmm. Or it
But
lowers
not-
the pressure of the proximal stomach.
To let the food go through.
Yes.
Okay.
So that there's room for your incoming food. And then what's adaptive relaxation?
It's when your stomach is filling, so but without increasing the pressure.
Mm-hmm. So we increase volume without increasing pressure. Or without changing pressure, really. Because as you increase volume, your pressure should decrease. But we don't want it to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why this is so difficult for my brain to understand.
It's hard to see it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff you can draw it and then you can see it, but stuff like this you just have to like take it at its word.
Trust that that's
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, okay.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about gastric action potentials, which is how we get the distal stomach to contract. Okay? So I'm going to draw some of the three that are kind of important to know over here. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. So do you remember from yesterday which plexus / interstitial cell of Cajal is causing the pacemaker function? Who is it? You okay?
Sorry. That's really interesting. Okay, sorry, continue.
Okay.
Is it on Facebook?
No, it's not. Y'all wouldn't have
Okay,
any idea
good.
what I was talking about.
Okay. So, what controls the pacemaker function of the gut? Yes. So, your main pacemaker in the stomach is going to be at this mid-orad corpus region. So I'm gonna say a pacemaker here. Okay. And that's the ICC-MY.
And it's always on the greater curvature, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Cause that was a question, and I was
Yes.
like, on all of his pictures on that side, so
That's
that's
what
what
it
I'm
was,
gonna
that's what
say.
I'm saying. Yeah, that's correct. So, how do I ask you this? The myenteric ICCs, are they directional? Do they have any control over where they send their signals?
No.
It's just out.
They do not. It goes in 360 degrees. What controls direction? What says yes or no?
ICCIM.
Yes. So if your pacemaker ICC-MY is in the greater curvature of the mid-orad corpus, proximal to that, you're going to have ICC-IMs that are saying no. And then distal to that, you're going to have ICC-IMs that are saying yes. Does that make sense? And then we kind of did this analogy already, but this signal that is starting here in the greater curvature has to get around to the lesser curvature. So that's like if you're in marching band and you're trying to go around the corner and there's 4 of you in a row, whoever is going along the outside has to like pick up the pace, and whoever is on the inside has to go really slow to make sure everybody stays in line. So these ones here in the greater curvature are going to be your ones like going faster, and then these ones, as it gets over here, they may be going slower, but it all has to happen together. So just know that there's going to be some differences between sides to make it all go at the same time, just like drill or marching band or things like that.
I
In
remember
like
talking about
speed.
that.
In speed.
Okay.
So there's ICCIMs on this side, the greater curvature, and on the lesser curvature.
Mm-hmm,
The lesser
because
curvature is like, yo, slow down a little bit, and the greater curvature ones are like, yo, speed up a little bit.
And then also think about like your Z plane. So it's got to get around there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to speed up to get around to the lesser curvature, and then once it's going like this, like XY, it's going to slow back down so it all goes together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. And then, so what's happening is you have like a mechanical threshold, which means that some contraction will occur, and then you have an electrical threshold.
Okay.
So that means you have action potentials and you get strong contraction. So when you're in your mid-orad corpus, your pacemaker ICC-MYs are doing, like they're just kind of getting to this mechanical threshold and there's some contraction. As it gets closer to the pyloric antrum and canal, you're going to have more of your ICC-IMs saying, yes, you need to contract. So that's going to cause you to get to that electrical threshold, which would be like, or, no, let me draw that again. Would be like here.
Okay.
So this is your electrical threshold, and you get one action potential, and then you have this mechanical. So this is gonna be called your leading phase contraction. And what it is going to do is it's going to close the pyloric sphincter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then following it, you have some mechanical contraction, but it's not real strong yet. As you get to the pyloric canal, that is when you start getting like the really, really strong contractions that are all above your electrical threshold.
Okay.
So what you have going on there is you have the leading phase, which is still keeping the pyloric sphincter closed. And then you have, are they trailing phases? I gotta remember what the right word is. They are, they're called trailing gastric action potentials. and they're going to be causing those strong contractions in the antrum.
Okay.
Okay? So what that's gonna look like is, if this is my small intestine, and this is my pyloric sphincter, you have all this contraction pushing and pushing, pushing and pushing, all to a closed door. So it's increasing the pressure of all this stuff, and it's giving it nowhere to go, unless it's smaller than 5 millimeters. If anything that's in here, as this gastric action potential is coming through and it's smaller than 5 millimeters, it's gonna go ahead and go into the duodenum. If it's not, this pressure is going to stay on it, and it's going to do what's called retropulsion. So if this is like my chyme, it's gonna be in here, the pressure's coming in, it can't go through this hole because the sphincter is closed, but there's still like a way to get out here. So it's going to come like this, and it's gonna hit the walls of the stomach here, which is gonna cause it to be like sandpaper down. So this would be like if you're sanding down like a table or something to restain it. And that's called retropulsion. Does that make sense?
On trailing, what's it called?
Gastric action potential.
Okay.
In that, your trailing gastric action potentials
Mhm.
are what ultimately cause the retropulsion.
Yes. Your leading is the one that strongly shuts the pyloric sphincter.
To anything like bigger than 5 millimeters.
Yes. Because we really don't want anything in our duodenum unless it's less than 5 millimeters, because our duodenum is kind of debate.
Sensitive?
It's sensitive.
Okay,
We can't do anything to hurt our duodenum.
so then retropulsion is when it goes back
Yes.
up to the,
So it's going back kind of into the
To
corpus
corpus.
region, and then as that next contraction comes through, it's gonna be like another wave of
and
this
it pushes it
that'll
back.
push it back to the pyloric canal, and then it'll be retropulsed again until it's 5 millimeters or less.
Gotcha.
Okay? How are you with that, Cody?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Just a second.
So does the pyloric sphincter ever open and allow anything larger through it?
Yes.
Is that what we're going over next?
That's exactly where I'm going next.
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys ready? Okay. So, this is kind of what's happening when you're eating and right after you eat. So, let's say there's something in your stomach, like your dog ate a ping pong ball, that's still smaller than 15 millimeters, but it's something that's not going to be broken down into 5 millimeters or less. So what happens is your pyloric sphincter is going to relax, and you're going to have contractions called migrating myoelectric complexes, which he abbreviates as MMCs. And what that's going to do is it's going to cause the same kind of contractions in the stomach, but the pyloric sphincter is going to be open to 15 millimeters, and if there's any like debris left over, it's just going to get pushed on through. So we know we can't really break it down because the acidic stomach couldn't break it down, like it's probably not gonna, but it needs to get out. So this is it pushing stuff on through. And I have a feeling that the 5 millimeter and 15 millimeter is gonna come up again, cause he
Yeah.
was real angry that people missed that.
So the migrating myoelectric complex, it has to be greater than 15 millimeters or just greater than 5?
it must be less than 15 millimeters.
So greater than 5, less than 15.
I mean,
It doesn't have to be
theoretically, there
greater
could
than
be
5.
things smaller than 5,
Okay.
but they should have all gone in the regular old stomach contractions.
Okay.
So between 5 and 15 would be that's what the target of the MMCs are.
Okay.
Do you have a question? Okay.
When does the MMC occur?
In like the fasted state, so after you've eaten, and then after all of the regular gaps have
Is
occurred.
done, okay.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, we've done our job, we have to clean up now.
So if it's larger than 15? You're screwed?
Then you are gonna have some surgery. Or you're gonna try and get it back out.
If we can throw it up.
Hopefully you throw it up. If not, that's why we are in vet school.
I want to look at something and say that.
Okay, so I got to help with this dog that ate like 7 or 8 kids' binkies, and like we didn't measure them. I feel there were several bits that were bigger than 15 millimeters that made it into the small intestine. Like there were some big pieces still in the
Yeah.
stomach, but like there were some big pieces already in the intestines.
I think you also have to think, like, when you get, like, you see people call it, like, little like, play cars,
Mm-hmm.
like Legos, like, that's more than 15 millimeters.
And we had one that ate a stuffed Peppa Pig, and that was bigger than 15 millimeters.
Yeah.
And it came out of her small intestine.
Oh, yeah, see? Lies. It's all lies.
Theoretically.
I feel like
Theoretically, 15 millimeters. Got it.
I don't know.
And I didn't measure Peppa Pig, so
Right, it could
maybe
be.
she was bigger or smaller.
Like Peppa
but
Pig, that's like soft though, right?
yeah, it was
I
a
feel like
stuffed
that
Peppa.
could have been condensed.
Schmooshed.
the
Was that
hard
Sarah trying to get back
things-
in?